Cooper DeJean will be the best NFL cornerback of the 2024 draft, and no one will see it coming. It's a ridiculous turn of events. DeJean dropped all the way into the second round until Howie Roseman decided enough was enough. Now, the rest of the NFL is going to pay for it. The Philadelphia Eagles used their first, second, and third round picks of the 2024 draft to strengthen their team on the defensive side of the ball. After using their first round pick to grab superstar cornerback Quinyon Mitchell from the University of Toledo, the Eagles got the draft's biggest steal, taking Cooper DeJean in the second round with the 40th overall pick. Now, in back-to-back years, Roseman has claimed overlooked defensive players sliding in the draft, having done the same thing last year with Georgia's Nolan Smith falling to the back of the first round. DeJean, a 6'1" lockdown corner out of Iowa University, has been overlooked and underappreciated his entire football career. Now, it's his turn to shock the world, proving all of his doubters wrong in the 2024 season and beyond. The NFL doesn't seem to believe white players can be influential at the cornerback position. And for the most part, they'd be right. There have been some success stories from white cornerbacks scarcely throughout history. The most notable is Jason Sehorn, who spent a memorable 6-season stint with the New York Giants from 1996 to 2002, recording 19 interceptions and 418 tackles throughout his career. Although Sehorn certainly made his mark on the NFL and proved that being a white cornerback in the league was possible, we haven't seen that same level of success in the modern era. In the 2023 NFL season, all 64 starting cornerbacks were black, and so was every single one of their backups. But the cornerback position being dominated by black players isn't news. From 2003 to 2021, there wasn't a single white cornerback who started in the NFL. In 2018, Washington drafted a safety out of Penn State named Troy Apke in the 4th round of the NFL draft. After 3 years playing for Washington as a safety, Apke broke the 18-year drought and switched to the cornerback position in 2021, becoming the first white man to play at the position since Kevin Casevarn did it with the Bengals in 2003. What many hoped to be a groundbreaking career, destroying the NFL norm that a cornerback had to be black, turned out to be a complete failure. Apke hardly saw the field after he transitioned to cornerback and ended up being cut from the Commanders in 2022. White cornerbacks are typically pushed out of the position once they reach higher playing levels like the NCAA or the NFL and transition into other positions like safety and sometimes even wide receiver. The exact same thing happened with DeJean, with analysts and mock drafts already starting to claim he would make a great safety prior to the 2024 draft itself. DeJean is determined to defy the odds by remaining at the quarterback position at the highest level. He would become the first white cornerback to play a single snap since Apke in 2022 and be the first white cornerback to regularly start in the league since Giants legend Sehorn in 2002. So, who is the young man set to break the barrier once again, and why him? Why is Cooper DeJean the man to overcome such wildly astronomical odds at one of the game's most challenging positions? Cooper DeJean grew up in Odebolt, Iowa, a small rural town of less than 1,000 people. He was naturally gifted as an athlete and started to shine early on in high school, playing quarterback and defensive back at Odebolt Arthur Battle Creek Ida Grove, his consolidated public school in Ida Grove, Iowa. A consolidated school means that the students who make up the school are from multiple different towns in the area because the population count in those towns is so low. So yeah, he grew up in the middle of nowhere. In addition to playing multiple positions on the football field, Cooper played basketball, baseball, and track in high school. While DeJean, of course, chose to continue his athletic career in football after high school, he was certainly no slouch in his other trades. In basketball, the multi-sport athlete compiled an impressive 1,832 career points and is ahead of NBA champion Harrison Barnes on Iowa's all-time scoring list. As a football player, DeJean was being lightly recruited by colleges across the Midwest who wanted him at various positions. He was even offered the opportunity to play quarterback at South Dakota State University, which is notorious for producing NFL talents like Dallas Goedert and Adam Vinatieri. After much consideration, Cooper decided he wanted to play on the defensive side of the ball. He took his talents to Iowa, which wanted him as a defensive back. He committed in 2020 during his 13-0 senior high school football season. DeJean played limited minutes on the field in his freshman season as a Hawkeye. Driven to start on the defensive side of the ball, the young talent had to prove his worth through other aspects of the game. As a newcomer to the Hawkeyes, he was mainly given playing time on special teams, but never took it for granted. He flashed his work ethic and athleticism as a blocker on kick returns and once returned a punt for 20 yards in a 27-7 loss at Wisconsin. He did get the opportunity to start at safety in a narrow 28-21 win over Nebraska and finish the game with a modest 4 tackles. His freshman season at Iowa certainly wasn't a coming out party, and the small town DB wasn't even close to an NFL scout's radar, but everything would begin to shift in 2022, when the 2 safeties ahead of him on Iowa's depth chart left for the NFL. DeJean was handed the opportunity to regularly play on the defensive side of the ball for the first time in college. With a 40-yard dash time of 4.4 seconds, DeJean took it and ran. Cooper played in all 13 games throughout the 2022 season and started at cornerback in 10. He finished the season with 75 tackles and 5 interceptions and set the Iowa single-season record with 3 interceptions returned for touchdowns. The sophomore helped lead Iowa to an 8-5 record and an appearance at the Music City Bowl against Kentucky, where he absolutely dominated. The budding superstar recorded 7 tackles to go along with 42 punt return yards and a 14-yard pick 6 in the second quarter. The monster game earned him the honor of the 2022 Music City Bowl's most valuable player. The ending to DeJean's 2022 season set the tone for the rest of his Iowa career. Heading into his junior season, people around the nation were buzzing about the best white cornerback in the country. Every question, concern, or doubt that anyone had about what position he would or could play in at the D1 level was tossed in the trash. There wasn't another player on Iowa's roster that could contest him as a defensive back, possibly even in the country. In 2023, the unanimous consensus All-American began to separate himself from the rest of the pack. While his season was cut short by a season-ending injury he suffered in practice late in the year, he shone in the first 10 games. DeJean was clamping receivers all over the Big Ten while returning punts at a highly effective rate. The junior tallied 2 interceptions for over 40 yards, 5 pass breakups, and returned 21 punts for over 240 yards and 1 touchdown return. In addition to his All-American honors, DeJean was named the Tatum Woodson Big Ten Defensive Back of the Year and the Rogers Dwight Big Ten Return Specialist of the Year, despite missing the last 4 games of the season. Fresh off of an extraordinary year, the junior defensive back decided to forego his senior season and take his talents to the next level, declaring for the 2024 NFL Draft. And yet, just as he had been coming out of high school, the highly productive talent was somewhat overlooked by NFL franchises coming into the draft and ended up as a second-round pick. Analysts and football fans across the country were blown away by how far down he slipped, as many people predicted him to be a first-round pick and looked at him as the number 1 CB in the draft. Pro Football Focus had Cooper listed as the number 1 cornerback in the 2024 draft class and the number 8 player overall. So, after performing like the best college cornerback in the nation, becoming a first-team All-American, and earning the Big Ten Defensive Back of the Year award, all in 2023, why was Cooper DeJean the 4th cornerback taken off the board? Assuming that front offices wouldn't discriminate based on skin color, although a successful white cornerback in the NFL is rare, we can assume it is because of a few other things, one being his lack of experience throughout college. Although he attended Iowa for 3 years, he only started for about a year and a half due to injuries and other players starting above him. In addition to his lack of experience, DeJean couldn't participate in drills at the NFL Combine due to a season-ending injury in 2023. With his athleticism and natural ability on the field such a key part of his game, it's fair to assume that his absence from the Combine drills dented his draft stock. Had he showed out, there's no doubt he would have competed with and likely outshone the others in attendance. The Eagles rookie held an individual pro day later, but missing the Combine certainly could have pushed him further under the radar, as was evident with his eventual landing spot in the draft. While the first 14 picks of the 2024 draft being offensive players knocked the entire defensive class down, there were still 3 corners taken ahead of DeJean. Teammate Quinyon Mitchell was first, but 2 picks later the Detroit Lions opted for Alabama corner Terrion Arnold. Nate Wiggins marked the 3rd and final corner selected in the first round, leading us into night 2. By the time the Commanders were on the clock at pick number 40, Roseman had seen enough. He traded up with the rival Commanders in an exchange of picks that included handing them pick number 50, selecting DeJean as the 4th corner. Clearly, he had his finger on the pulse, as his selection sparked a run of 4 straight corners in the early second round. DeJean went at number 40, Kool-Aid McKinstry headed to the New Orleans Saints at number 41, Kamari Lassiter then went to Houston at number 42, and Max Melton was selected by the Arizona Cardinals at number 43. Had Roseman not jumped those teams, there's almost zero chance DeJean would have ended up an Eagle, and could have easily been the Saints' first option at corner. Cooper's immense skill set playing various positions has molded him into a Swiss Army knife that should easily plug into any NFL defense or special teams unit. Now paired with the creative mind of Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, DeJean is primed to become the best defensive player in the 2024 draft class. He will begin the 2024 season in Philadelphia alongside fellow rookie CB Quinyon Mitchell, the first cornerback taken in the 2024 draft. Philadelphia were overwhelmed in the secondary in 2023, allowing over 255 passing yards per game, good for the 3rd highest total in the league. Darius Slay couldn't do it all alone, and the Eagles were picked on via the weaker side of their defensive setup. First-year defensive coordinator Sean Desai was pulled from his play-calling duties mid-season in favor of the controversial Matt Patricia, and between the two of them, they couldn't figure it out. Vic Fangio has the experience to reinvent that secondary, and while they're both young and need a little time to learn his complex defense, both Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean could easily form one of the league's greatest partnerships for years to come. With the talent they have offensively, the key to getting back to the Super Bowl could easily be a far-strengthened unit of defensive backs. Howie Roseman and the Eagles front office may have addressed that need with serious intent, and with the gaps now plugged, Philly might be all the way back. Do you think Cooper DeJean will outperform Mitchell in the 2024 season? Let us know in the comment section below.